All right, so not to go too in depth on real estate specifically on this video, but I do want to share a couple little nuggets with you guys. So last year, 2024, this was an area that had some of the highest appreciation values of one year to the next. So from 2022, 2023 to 2024, we had about a 12 to 14% overall appreciation in Sunnyside for property values. And that is significantly higher than other parts of Denver, especially these past few years, which have been very unique, where the average has been only maybe 3 to 5%. So that's just proof in the pudding that Sunnyside is definitely an area that's seeing a lot stronger appreciation than others. And a lot of that does come down to it being kind of lifted up by the areas that are surrounding it, like Highlands, Tennyson, and Berkeley, all those areas we've been talking about. The median home price in Sunnyside last year was in that $650,000 to $750,000 range, and that is a little bit lower than Highlands, which is over $800,000. So just another example of how it is a little bit lower right now, but that's going to just continue to be, lifted up with Highlands and all these other areas. So, and then I'd also like to take this a step further. When you're looking at Highlands as an example, or Sloan Lake, so many of the homes have already gone through gentrification. They've already been bought, flipped, or maybe just done a significant value add improvement to the home, where maybe initially it was a 1920 bungalow. Since then, they popped the top, made it a lot larger square footage. Those types of improvements are very, very common in Highlands and Sloan Lake. The thing is, there's just not that many opportunities to find these that haven't yet been improved. With Sunnyside, since it is a little bit earlier on into this process, you're going to find a lot more opportunities for value add and fixer-upper type opportunities to maybe get in at a lower price point and then do some of maybe this work yourself, some sweat equity, and then just over time, improve the property that way. If Highlands and Sloan Lake have been on your radar and you've just been really having a hard time finding anything that kind of matches what I'm speaking on here, I think Sunnyside is worth looking at because there just are more options. This whole neighborhood is very, very old. A lot of these 1920s bungalows, a lot of single family homes. So you also have a little bit larger lot sizes compared with other parts of Denver that are newer, like for example, up in Erie and Brighton up north, or even down in the south and southeast, like Aurora. These new build communities and just the newer homes over the last 20 years, typically those are found on smaller size lots. With Sunnyside, a lot more opportunity to maybe find a half-acre lot as an example. There are even some that have zoning where if you go in, you maybe have a large enough lot size where you could even add later on an ADU or an accessory dwelling unit and actually rent that out for an income-producing little side hustle where you can maybe help pay for your mortgage. This is something that actually just passed at the end of last year, where Denver wanted to just kind of ease some of these restrictions when it came to accessory dwelling units. So before, this was a lot of red tape, very difficult to accomplish, but now it's much more easy for people that have the right lot size and just have the right scenario going on, where they can potentially add something like this into their backyard, and whether it be an additional unit for just your own use, maybe it's a mother-in-law unit that you just want to have some family come stay with you occasionally and have their own kind of private area. Or like I said, it could even be to the point where you're renting it out and helping pay for your mortgage. So something that you can't really do in that many areas in Denver just logistically, but I think Sunnyside is one of the few areas, I think a lot of them are on this western side of town, where this is a little bit more of a possibility. Not to go down a rabbit hole, but other areas, if I'm speaking your language right now, other areas that also would be worth looking into for these value add opportunities and even adding an ADU to the property would also be worth checking out Arvada, Wheat Ridge, Lakewood, and just any of those areas that are a little bit to the west, because those are some of these other older neighborhoods that are built, 100 years ago at this point. And back then, they typically did have a little bit larger lot sizes. So little tip for you, definitely look into that if that's something that you're interested in.